There's no damn way we should drop tariffs on China, I'll tell you that. I had a conversation the other day. Scott called me up and said, hey, I got to protect my province. I get it. I get why Wob Kinew and Scott are saying, drop the tariffs. But I have to do the same thing, and I respect their sector. They ship about $4.9 billion to China on canola.
Canada's political stage just erupted, and at the center of it all is Ontario Premier Doug Ford, visibly furious and drawing a bold red line in the sand. At a packed Empire Club of Canada event, Ford didn't hold back. Cameras were rolling. Journalists were stunned. The Premier leaned forward, eyes blazing, and delivered one of the most fiery statements of his career. There's no damn way we're dropping tariffs on China. Those 10 words sent shockwaves through Ottawa and straight into the Prime Minister's office. Because make no mistake, this wasn't just Ford defending Ontario's auto industry. This was a direct challenge to Prime Minister Mark Carney's quiet push to reevaluate Canada's relationship with Beijing. Here's the backstory. Last year, Canada followed the U.S. and slapped 100% tariffs on all Chinese electric vehicles. The move was meant to protect national security, support Canadian manufacturing, and, politically, show that Ottawa was standing shoulder to shoulder with Washington. But since then, the plan has backfired. Beijing retaliated with devastating tariffs on Canadian agriculture, a 100% hit on canola oil and meal, and a massive 75.8% tariff on canola seed. Prairie farmers are hurting, supply lines are cracking, and premiers from the West, including Saskatchewan's Scott Moe and Manitoba's Wab Kinew, have been pleading with Ottawa. Drop the tariffs, save our farmers. Yet, Doug Ford isn't buying it. In that now viral Empire Club moment, Ford revealed something few expected, a behind-the-scenes call from Premier Moe. Scott called me up and said, hey, I've got to protect my province. I get it, Ford said, but I have to do the same thing. And then came the quote that now defines the moment. I respect what they're doing, but there's no damn way we should drop tariffs on China. But what Ford didn't say, and what sources in Queen's Park have quietly hinted, is that his statement wasn't just about trade. It was about trust. According to one insider, Ford has grown increasingly suspicious that Prime Minister Mark Carney's office has been softening its stance on China, under pressure from business lobbyists and energy executives eager to reopen doors to Chinese investment. And here's where it gets complicated. Foreign Affairs Minister Anita is set to visit Beijing later this week, in what's officially being described as a trade stabilization mission. But leaked talking points obtained by several media outlets suggest that discussions might include mutual tariff recalibration, a coded phrase insiders say could mean Canada is preparing to scale back its EV tariffs. If true, that would make Doug Ford's outburst even more explosive, because it would mean the Ontario Premier directly contradicted Ottawa's secret diplomatic plan on live television. And Ottawa isn't happy. Sources inside the Prime Minister's office say Carney was caught off guard by Ford's fiery comments, which were described as reckless, populist, and potentially damaging to Canada's trade negotiations. But to Ford, this isn't about diplomacy. It's about defending Ontario's future. Ontario's auto industry is hanging in the balance. Billions of dollars in electric vehicle investments are flowing into the province, from companies like Stellantis, Volkswagen, and Honda. Ford knows that if Chinese EVs flood the Canadian market, those factories, and tens of thousands of jobs, could vanish overnight. He's made it clear, Ontario won't bend. But behind the scenes, political alliances are fracturing. Western premiers say Carney's government has abandoned the prairies, prioritizing Ontario's auto sector over farmers struggling to survive China's counter-tariffs. And now, rumors are swirling that the Western provinces might form a united front, threatening to block future federal initiatives unless Ottawa agrees to drop or modify the tariffs. This is the kind of East versus West tension Canada hasn't seen in decades. But here's where the story takes an even stranger turn. Late Tuesday night, reports began circulating that an emergency cabinet meeting was held in Ottawa behind closed doors. Insiders say the discussion was heated, with several ministers warning Carney that if Ford's stance gains traction, it could spark a full-blown provincial revolt against federal trade policy. According to one unverified leak, a senior minister allegedly warned, if Ford rallies the public, we'll lose control of the narrative. And sure enough, by Wednesday morning, social media had exploded. Hashtags like hashtag stand with Ford and hashtag no deal with China were trending nationwide. Across the country, Canadians were taking sides. Was Ford protecting national interests or risking international diplomacy? Meanwhile, in Beijing, the Chinese Ministry of Commerce issued a cryptic statement saying it was monitoring political developments in Ottawa and expecting rational decisions from Canada's leadership. Analysts believe that was a subtle warning, a signal that China could expand its retaliation if Canada doesn't soften its stance. But Ford doesn't appear intimidated. During a closed-door meeting with Ontario auto executives, which sources say was supposed to be off the record, Ford reportedly told the room, "We can't be bullied. Not by Beijing. Not by anyone." Those words, later leaked to several outlets, quickly went viral, once again painting Ford as the defiant voice of Canadian industry. If he sticks with the tariffs, he risks alienating Saskatchewan and Manitoba, where farm leaders are growing restless. If he drops them, Ford and Ontario's powerful auto unions could revolt, accusing the government of selling out Canadian manufacturing. And complicating things further, Washington is watching closely. U.S. officials have privately warned that if Canada drops its tariffs while the U.S. keeps theirs, it could create a backdoor for Chinese EVs to enter the American market through Canada. That's not something President Trump, who has built his re-election message on protecting American industry, is likely to tolerate. So now, every move matters. Anita Anand's trip to Beijing could determine the future of Canada's trade policy and the fate of millions of dollars in agricultural exports. Mark Carney must decide whether to stand firm with Washington or bend to pressure from the West. And Doug Ford? Well, Ford has made his choice crystal clear. He's not backing down. He's betting everything, his political reputation, his alliance with Ottawa, and maybe even his future ambitions, on this one belief. We're not dropping tariffs for China. Not now. Not ever. But as tensions rise, whispers from Ottawa suggest that the Prime Minister might be preparing for a dramatic announcement following Anand's China visit, one that could shift the entire trade landscape. Could Canada secretly be preparing a limited tariff rollback to ease Beijing's pressure? Or will Carney side with Ford, doubling down and daring China to retaliate again? Either way, the next few days could define Canada's economic future. And as one senior insider put it best, this isn't just about cars or canola anymore. This is about who really runs Canada's economy, Ottawa or the provinces. Stay tuned, because this story is far from over.